This presentation will be focusing on the areas of the barriers that girls face in Pakistan when accessing their educational rights. I'll be looking at the rates in today's world and how these have changed over the years, focusing on how many girls compared to boys are attending school and investigating what these barriers may be that are stopping girls from attending an education. I will then be addressing these barriers and how they can be removed to ensure there is progress within the future to reduce the gap between genders. Having access to education for girls has been an ongoing issue for many years to give equality. It is seen that there are many children who don't have the same opportunities as others do, having boys be in favour of having an education over girls. Girls should be entitled to have equality and have the rights for an education and career, but there are many barriers in which prevent this happening, such as cultural views and gender differentiation. In 2016, Razoo stated that within the whole world there are 30.6 million girls who are deprived of having an education within primary school age, and it is about 4 million of these who live within Pakistan. The overall situation for girls' access in this country is that girls have a lower enrolment in education, the completion and the transition of going into higher and professional education in comparison to boys. This therefore results in gender-based disparity, which is the common denominator, causing low improvements in girls having an education in Pakistan. This impact of gender equality is due to religious and social conservatism, as well as conflict-affected situations and the unavailability of a safe environment. According to Razoo, there have been signs of improvement from 1991, with a 52% ratio of girls to boys primary enrolment, to 88% in 2013, where the increase in demand of private sectors, where 1/3 of children go to these private schools. It was then in 2013 that the last elections were made on the access to education by children in Pakistan, and as shown in the graph in 2017, it was found by the government data that the gap between girls and boys attending school in 5th grade to 12th is around 10%, which shows that there have been little change to these attendance figures within the few years. It was also found that a significant proportion of children within the government public schools have dropped out, and this was at primary level. This is mainly due to the lack of secondary schools available, as there is almost 80% of schools which are primary level. There is also a large proportion of boys rather than girls who have been enrolled with private sectors, creating a significant gender gap. These statistics show that more boys were having the chance of an education, whereas girls weren't, as they faced more barriers and difficulties. From July 2018, it was then published that there were 32% of girls within primary age who were out of school compared to just 21% of boys, showing that girls were significantly disadvantaged within the education system. It then increased by grade 6. There was a bigger percentage of 59% of girls who weren't at school and 49% of boys. These percentages show that girls are less likely to have a career, and that when it comes to higher education, more children are not furthering their studies, which may be to do with the fact that there are more primary schools and less opportunities of going to secondary schools due to a lack of them. When it comes to 9th grade, there is just a small number of girls left in school, at just 13% overall. Girls' access to education can be difficult due to barriers which may occur, and it was in 2000 that the United Nations brought in the Millennium Development Goals to help promote gender equality and the empowerment for women. They were brought in to eliminate gender disparities in both primary and secondary education by 2005 and within all levels of education by the year of 2015. Looking at the feminist approach, if girls have an education, it can help empowerment of women and give them the equal right, enabling better jobs and opportunities for them. It may also help to manage the household more effectively if women in the family are working too, as there will be more income. It will help to close the gender gap within education and enable girls to gain the skills and knowledge that they need to empower them. One young Pakistan girl called Malala fights for these education rights for girls for free quality educational and spoke about her thoughts, but at the age of 14 she was shot by the Taliban who had this power over them. However, she carried on voicing her views to help other girls. Girls' education can also benefit the economy and allow women to have a higher wage and improve their development in themselves. If there is a low number of girls being educated, this can have a negative impact on the economic growth, as it can lower the percentage of human capital. Having gender equality can enable a better economy and also reduce fertility and infant mortality, as girls are able to have a normal childhood. It can also mean that fewer girls and their families will be in poverty if there are more employment opportunities. There is also a transformative approach to girls' education, this being that girls have more freedom and choices if they have the opportunity of having an education. Women are able to have more freedom and do something they want to do rather than the traditional or expected values made of them. It can allow young girls to have a childhood instead of being married off or experience early pregnancy. Girls in Pakistan face several challenges when they are wanting to achieve a quality education, despite their age. These can be through a variety of reasons and in several circumstances. Many girls are unable to further their education or study beyond a certain age if their social norms, which are expected by girls, are violated against, then it could cause difficulties in girls studying. When looking at the barriers girls face when accessing education, there can be different themes which occur to the issues faced. Some of these can be due to cultural beliefs within the society and the family these children are brought up in, which can affect the roles and expectations of young girls. There may be a gender differentiation in the expectations and responsibilities in which girls have. They may be expected to stay home and do the housework and look after young siblings, for example, whereas boys are prioritised to have an education, so they are equipped with the right skills to work and provide for the family. It is the society around that has initialised this division, giving girls less opportunities and making their own choices of having a future in something they would like to perceive. It was also reported by the Human Development Report that Pakistan is the lowest category of human development with a 30% of female literacy rate and has been ranked 145 in the world in terms of human development. Within Pakistan, there are 21% of girls who are married before they have reached the age of 18 and 3% are married before the age of 15, as they are seen to be ready as soon as they have reached puberty, and it can also be expected in some of the communities to be normalised. Child marriage can also occur if girls are not given the opportunity of having an education. They can be married off at a young age, which is against their human rights. This early marriage can happen due to factors such as poverty, social norms, family honour, or with the idea that marriage will provide safety and protection. Having this early marriage can also affect girls within their development and changes of the body, and can lead to early pregnancy, which could lead to maternal and infant mortalities, and it is known that within Pakistan it is overall high at 80. Other challenges can be to do with religious views that the family may have, which can change the ways in which girls are brought up in and what they are expected to do. Most girls don't get to attend school, but if they do, they end up dropping out or being taken out by their families due to their family beliefs, which links in with the cultural beliefs of early marriage and starting families of their own, so their education is no longer permitted. There is also the risk of not attending school due to religious conflict. Families may not feel safe with their daughter's security and they may have to travel large distances, which can increase risks. Girls can be targeted and sexual harassment can occur, as well as the fear of kidnapping and attacks on girls, which can cause long-term consequences for them. These religious tensions can affect girls the most, as they are seen more subjected to suffering from these consequences. These girls can also be targeted within school through bullying and harassment from other boys in class and from their teachers, resulting in parents taking their daughters out of education. Barriers can also occur from the effects from the economy, and these can conflict with the ways in which girls access education. These focus on the other areas in which can occur physically to any girls and their families. It may be hard for girls to access their education if they live within poverty. Families may not be able to afford to let their children access government schools. Some parents may only be able to allow their sons to attend over their daughters, as it can be seen as more important for boys to have an education for the economic future for their families. These government schools may be free, but they can also have the fees of tuition, registration and exams, with the added cost of uniforms and resources needed, which may cause a difficulty for families who don't have much income. Parents may be unable to afford these schools and may be left with the other option of private schools or non-governmental organisation schools, which is where many girls experience their forms of study. However, this can lead to low educational qualifications. It may also occur that girls are taken out of school when they start puberty, as families may fear an engagement of relationship or sexual harassment. There may also be a lack of private girls-only latrines, causing a difficulty for girls during their time periods, meaning they may have to miss school certain times of the month. The quality of education should provide availability of sanitation and water for all children, but these girls suffer and may drop out fully. One study conducted in Kharpur, Sindh, with 4 government higher secondary schools showed that non-availability of water, sanitation and hygiene facilities in school are main hindrance for the girls to attend school during menstruation. They may also struggle to afford the sanitary materials, which can become challenging with the hours of school and their own hygiene, especially if there is mainly presence of male teachers rather than females. It was also found that there were non-functional facilities, these being 75% hand pumps and 28% latrines, and also a lack of segregated toilets for genders. These barriers preventing girls from accessing education have been looked at through organisations and strategies which have been brought in and adapted over the years to help increase the number of girls attending schools. One organisation called the Hosher Foundation focuses on this and looks at the way in which the community can be impacted, but also the ways in which girls are prevented from having an education. It links in with the ways in which cultural beliefs can prevent an education, as it states, educated girls marry later and have lower fertility rates. However, many girls have their religious beliefs that they should be married young and that they shouldn't go to school. This programme raises funds through donations for this increase of empowerment and education for females and looks at ensuring girls have this education to prevent early marriage and so fertility rates are lowered. They also focus on enabling more girls to be in paid employment and to enable political and social contributions within the society, which links in with economic barriers girls can face. Having this foundation has supported up to 12 schools in Pakistan by 2018 by using its strategies and paying for the tuitions for students and funding for the training which teachers need, which has enabled more than 1,200 girls to be able to attend school. The barriers which are caused through the economy have been focused upon by the organisation UNICEF in the way to reduce poverty and help those who were unable to travel with a distance so that girls feel safer having an education. The strategies used to improve this was through opening up a basic education department for girls in the small village of Punjab through an education programme which this organisation supported. It has helped those who may have never attended school who may have been pulled out of their education. With the help of a Norwegian committee with UNICEF, it meant 240 centres were able to be built in the rural and remote areas in 6 districts of this area. In today's world, there is now nearly 16,000 boys and girls who are aged from 4 to 16 who have had a benefit from this programme, which is beyond the created target of 6,500. This also meant 241 pupils were able to attend back to a formal school after they had been in one of these classes at one of the centres, benefiting girls especially to have this opportunity. In conclusion, there is a significant gap between genders with school, with more boys attending than girls due to certain factors. These are different barriers which prevent girls from having the ability and accessing an education due to the culture and religious views and the economy in which girls are looked at differently. These issues can affect most girls, leading to a small number who have the same opportunities as boys. However, there are several organisations which have been created to reach more needs and to increase the number of girls attending schools. These foundations focus on different barriers, however there's still a high number of girls who are not receiving this support and some factors aren't being focused on as much as others, such as the religious beliefs. To reach this extra support, more needs to be done and other factors should be considered so that more barriers are removed to give more opportunities.